In the heart of a bustling city, where glass towers brushed the clouds and people rushed past with eyes glued to their screens, no one noticed the shadows that moved beneath their feet. Among those shadows was a young homeless girl, and one day she stumbled upon something extraordinary, a millionaire's lost credit card. But what she asked in return shattered the millionaire's heart and brought him to tears. Before we dive deeper into this powerful story, I invite you to take a moment, leave a comment letting us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you haven't already, gently tap that subscribe button. Tomorrow, we'll share another original story that might just stay with you long after the screen goes dark. So lean in, listen closely, and let this story unfold. Her name was Mia. She lived on the streets, and the sidewalk was the only bed she'd known for years. Just 10 years old, her eyes had already seen more than most do in a lifetime. She had long grown used to the cold stares of strangers, the pitying whispers that floated past, the hollow promises of help that never came. Her face, streaked with the dust of the streets, still held a flicker of childlike innocence, untouched, unbroken, orphaned young, forgotten by a world that moves too fast to notice the quiet ones. Every day, she sat on the same corner of the city's busiest avenue, a rusted tin mug cradled in her small hands, hoping for a few coins from the rare passerby who still believed in kindness. But Mia was sharp. She had learned how to move unseen, to drift like a breeze through alleyways and over crosswalks without catching a single glance. She never stole, never slipped her hand into another's pocket. Her survival depended solely on those fleeting moments of generosity. Life was cruel, but it was the only one she had known. Then one evening, as the wind howled between the steel bones of the city and streetlights flickered against the dusk, something strange happened. A man hurried by, a man in a tailored suit, clearly someone important. His shoes gleamed. His watch caught the last of the setting sun. His phone was pressed tightly to his ear as he stormed past, his voice sharp and urgent. He moved fast, too fast to notice when something slipped from his pocket. Mia did. It was a black credit card, sleek, heavy, embossed with a name she didn't recognize, Gregory Vaughn. To her, the name meant nothing, but the card's weight spoke of wealth, of possibilities, of dreams. Her first instinct was to run after him, to return it. But as she held the card in her trembling fingers, thoughts she had never dared to entertain began to whisper. Could this be her chance? Her escape? She'd heard stories, urban myths whispered between sleeping bags in alleyways, of found cards that changed lives, of people who went from empty bellies to full plates, from rags to safety. And yet, Mia hesitated. She wasn't a thief, but hunger speaks louder than morals when you haven't eaten in days. That night she didn't return the card. She kept it, not to steal, but to survive. She told herself she would return it, just not yet. Gregory Vaughn was a self-made millionaire. Raised in a modest neighborhood, he had clawed his way up the corporate ladder brick by brick until he stood at the top. He built an empire, a name, a legacy. But as his bank accounts grew, something inside him shrank. Kindness gave way to calculation. Compassion was buried beneath ambition. He had everything. Fast cars, an oceanfront home, a jet waiting on the tarmac. But inside he was hollow, divorced, alone. A daughter he hadn't spoken to in years. Her disappointment more piercing than silence. To Gregory, money fixed everything. If someone was unhappy, they just hadn't earned enough yet. But he knew, deep down, that was a lie. One he'd wrapped himself in for years. The next morning, Mia stood in front of a supermarket, eyes wide at the display behind the glass. Fruits, bread, hot meals she could almost taste. The card in her pocket burned like a secret. Could it really work? Could a girl like her use something from that world? Her hands trembling, she walked inside. She filled her cart slowly. Food, socks, a warm coat, a pair of winter boots that fit her swollen feet like they were made for her. At the checkout, she handed over the card. Her heart pounded like a drum in her ears. The cashier didn't blink, just swiped, approved. It worked. But instead of relief, Mia felt guilt. She didn't want to live by taking what wasn't hers, even from a man who would never notice the loss. She left the store, some food in hand for the coming days. And then, she made a choice. She would return the card. She had taken what she needed, no more. She tracked him down. Gregory Vaughn wasn't hard to find. His name lit up news feeds and financial columns. With her street smarts, she learned where his office was, in the towering steel and glass core of the city's financial district. She walked through the grand entrance, small and out of place. People stared. Whispers followed. But she didn't stop. She simply said, "I found a credit card." And everything changed. Soon Mia stood in the office of Gregory Vaughn. He was still on the phone, back turned to her. The room was vast, leather, glass, and marble, reflecting a life of power. When he finally turned and saw her, his brows furrowed in disbelief. "What is this? Who are you?" he asked, his tone clipped and cold. Mia stepped forward and held out the card. "I believe this is yours," she said softly. Gregory took it, eyeing her warily. "You found this?" His voice softened, but suspicion lingered. She nodded, and in a quiet voice she explained how she had used it, just enough to eat, to stay warm. "I didn't mean to steal," she said. "I just needed food." For a long moment, Gregory said nothing. He looked at her, not at her clothes or the dirt on her cheeks, but at her eyes. And in them, something broke open inside him. She stood there, apologizing for using a tiny fraction of his wealth, when she could have taken so much more and vanished into the city. Then Mia looked up and barely above a whisper said something that stopped time. "I don't want money. I don't need clothes. I want something else." Gregory blinked. "What is it that you want?" She looked down, her voice trembling. "I want a family." Silence. Of all the things she could have asked for, this was the one thing he never expected. The one thing he had failed to hold on to himself. A family. The words echoed like a haunting memory. Gregory was ready to offer her a home, money, school, anything she needed, anything but that. He told her he wasn't the right person, that he didn't know how to be someone's family anymore, that he had lost that part of himself long ago. But Mia's eyes held steady. "Couldn't you try?" Her question wasn't just a plea, it was a mirror, a challenge. All his life, Gregory had believed wealth could fill the silence. But here stood a girl who saw right through it. She didn't need his empire. She needed him. He didn't answer right away. The weight of his past pulled at him, but somehow he found the courage to say yes. Just for a little while, he told himself, just until something better came along. But deep down, he knew this wasn't temporary. Days passed, and Mia changed everything. She asked questions, simple ones, that no one had asked him in years, about his work, about his life, about the sky outside his window. She made him laugh. She made him remember. And then came the storm. Lena, Gregory's estranged daughter, found out. She arrived at his office, fury written on her face. Her voice cracked with years of hurt. "Do you really think you can replace me with this girl? How many times did you choose your job over me? And now you want to be a father." Her words cut deep. Years of neglect poured from her like a flood. Gregory had no answers, no excuses. He stood frozen as the two parts of his life collided, his past mistakes and this fragile new beginning. And Mia heard it all. She couldn't bear to be the reason for more pain. So one night, without a word, she left. She returned to the only place she knew, the corner where it all began. And when Gregory found her, days later, broken and shivering, he dropped to his knees. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, holding her tight. "Mia, please forgive me." She didn't need an explanation or promises. She had never wanted luxury. All she had ever longed for was to be held, to be seen, to belong. In the weeks that followed, Gregory did what he once thought impossible. He began to rebuild, with Mia and with Lena. It wasn't easy. There were tears, hard conversations, but brick by brick they started to repair what had been shattered. Lena, watching her father change, began to soften, and in Mia, she found something unexpected: a sister, a friend. They weren't perfect, but they were real, and in that imperfect, messy, healing space, something beautiful took root. Gregory had once believed success lived in skyscrapers, in numbers, in deals. But now he found it in laughter over dinner, in quiet moments, in the warmth of knowing that, for the first time in a long time, no one at that table was alone. Mia, once a shadow in the crowd, had found what she'd always dreamed of: a family. And in return, she gave Gregory something he never knew he needed: a reason, a meaning, a second chance at the life he thought he had lost. Before you go, I want to leave you with something personal. If you've ever felt out of place in your own body, if you've been carrying more than just emotional weight, there's something new in the video description that may resonate with you. It's a recent discovery. Scientists are calling it the purple shell. It's natural, and according to recent studies, it may help your body triple the rate at which it burns fat, even while you sleep. No extreme diets, no punishing workouts, just a quiet return to balance. Click the description, read more, and maybe, like Mia and Gregory, you'll begin your own transformation, inside and out, because you deserve to feel like yourself again.